I need to tell you about the first American home I ever walked into because I did something that night that I still think about, and it was not what you would guess. I said nothing. I was 23, newly arrived, and my host walked across her living room in the same shoes she had worn on the train, on the sidewalk, through the wet parking lot, and she sat down on the couch where she would later fall asleep. And she lifted her bare feet onto the cushion, and I smiled and told her the house was beautiful. I said nothing for 2 years. Every visit, I watched the street come inside and lie down where people rest, and I translated my own silence into good manners. So understand who is talking to you. I am not here to tell you that you are dirty. You are not dirty. You work hard at being clean. You shower more often than most of the world. You own more bottles of soap than my grandmother owned in her whole life, and you would be genuinely hurt to learn that anyone thought otherwise. That is exactly the problem. The distance between you and the habits I was raised inside is not a distance of effort. It is a distance of definition. You and I do not disagree about how hard a person should try. We disagree about what the word clean means, about where dirt actually lives, and about who is permitted to tell you the truth concerning your own body. So stay with me, because there are 7 of these and they climb. Number 4 is the habit you are most certain you already do correctly, and for that reason, it is the one that will surprise you most. And number 6 is the one that nobody in your life has ever said to your face, the one that someone who loves you noticed long ago and chose to carry in silence rather than wound you with a single sentence. Keep that number somewhere in the back of your mind, because one of these 7 has already been noticed about you, quietly, by a person who is close to you, and I promise you it is not the one you are bracing for right now. Before I give you the first one, I have to hand you a single idea, because the moment you are holding it, all 7 of these lock into place at once, and without it, not one of them will make sense. In the country I come from, the floor is not the ground. Say that again to yourself. The floor is not the ground. The floor is furniture. The floor is the table, where we sit cross-legged with the bowls set down on the warm surface in front of us. The floor is the chair, where we fold down to talk for hours. The floor is the bed. For generations, we unrolled a thin mat at night and slept directly upon it, on a floor warmed from beneath by a system called ondol, meaning the heated floor, the heat running under the stone so that the ground itself holds you through the winter. When the floor is your table and your chair and your bed, the floor is a surface your bare skin touches all day and all night, and so the floor must be as clean as your hands, as clean as your plate, as clean as your pillow. Hold that one sentence. The floor is your bed. Everything I am about to tell you is only that idea, walking room by room through your house, touching one habit after another. So here is the first, the one I stayed quiet about for 2 years. You wear your shoes inside. You come home, and the leather and rubber that pressed into gum, into gutter water, into the film of a public bathroom floor, walks across the rug where your child lies on their stomach to watch television and stops beside the bed. You believe your floors are clean because they look clean, and that is the trap. Because the floor was never asking to look clean, it was asking to be clean, and those are 2 different requests. In my mother's home, and in nearly every home I knew, shoes came off at a lowered step by the door, and a second pair waited there, silehua, meaning indoor shoes, house shoes that have never once touched the outside world. It costs you nothing to fix, and it has been quietly costing you the one comment your guests will never make out loud. The small recalculation a visitor performs the moment they see you keep your shoes on, and they wonder what else in your definition of clean does not match theirs. And yet, even if you take your shoes off tonight, even if you buy the little rack and the house slippers, it will not be enough, because the floor does not only meet your shoes, it meets you. Which brings me to your feet. You walk barefoot, or in the socks you have worn since morning, across that same floor, and then you climb into the bed those feet have been collecting the day inside. Here I will be fair, because I do not want you to think Korea is rigid, and it is not. You wash more often than we sometimes did in a cold apartment in January. Frequency was never where you were losing. You lose at the ankles and the soles, the places a quick rinse under falling water never truly reaches, the places that then press into your sheets for 8 hours. The cost of this one is not on your floor at all. It is the faint reluctance in how someone sits down next to you, a distance you feel and cannot name and blame on their mood. And even clean feet will not save you, because the thing you reach for to make yourself clean is quietly working against you. I mean your towel. You have one bath towel, and you use it for days, sometimes a week, hanging damp in a room with no sun, and each morning you rub it across skin you believe you have just washed. In many Korean homes, the towel is small, thin, and changed constantly, treated as something that should touch clean skin exactly once before it is set aside. Your large, soft towel feels luxurious, and it is doing the opposite of what you ask. Because a towel used too long does not dry you, it redeposits, spreading yesterday across today. The cost is invisible to you and obvious to a nose that is not your own. And I know how that sounds, so let me stop and say something larger before I go on. There is a reason none of this was ever told to you, and it is not a conspiracy. It is quieter and sadder than that. In my culture, cleanliness was never taught as a private virtue, as something you do for yourself in a locked bathroom. It was taught as consideration, as a form of politeness toward the people who share your air, your table, your seat on the bus. To be clean was to say to the room, "I have thought about you." That is why the rules feel so specific and so relentless, and it is also why nobody in your life corrected you, because in your culture, cleanliness is private, and to comment on it is an attack. So the people around you made a gentle, terrible decision. They decided your feelings mattered more than the truth, and they said nothing, and they let you keep believing you were fine. Now, having said that, let me give you the fourth habit, the one you were sure about. And here I must be honest again, because not every Korean does this, and some of the younger ones find it old-fashioned and even a little unpleasant. You shower, and you believe a shower makes you clean, and a shower does not make you clean, it makes you rinsed. In the Mokyoktang, the public bathhouse, there is a practice called sesin, the body scrub, where you soak until the skin softens and then a coarse cloth is dragged across you, and what comes off is called tae, the gray rolls of dead skin that water alone will never lift. Do this with me right now because I want you to have proof that is yours and not mine. After your next shower, once your skin is dry again, take a slightly damp, rough cloth and drag it once, firmly, down the inside of your forearm and look at it. That gray is tae. It was on you the entire time you believed the water had done its work. That is the whole of segment 4, and its cost is the strangest of all, because you have spent years and real money on scented products to sit on top of a layer you never removed, paying to perfume the problem instead of ending it. And even a scrubbed body will betray you because you lie it down every night on the one thing you never think to question, your pillowcase. Your face, freshly washed, spends roughly a third of your life pressed into fabric that is holding the oil, the product, and the residue of every previous night. And you were looking at your skin the whole time, buying creams for your skin, studying your skin in the mirror, when the problem was never in the location you were searching. So change it. Change it far more often than you believe you need to, because clean skin on an unclean pillow is simply a slower way of arriving at the same place. The cost here is the mirror itself, the quiet frustration of a routine that never quite works. Money spent upward on your face while the answer waited flat beneath it. And now I owe you number 6, the one I told you to hold, the one someone who loves you already knows. I know exactly what you are thinking right now. You are thinking that you would know if it were you, that you would smell it, that your own body could not hide something like that from you. And you are half right. You would smell it on someone else in an instant. You cannot smell it on yourself. And that is not a weakness, it is biology. Because your nose stops reporting a scent it is bathed in constantly, it adapts and goes silent. So the one person on earth who can never assess your scent is you. Everyone else in the room updated their opinion long ago. They adjusted where they stand. They breathe a little shallower in the car. And not one of them told you because there are no kind words for it in English, no polite sentence a friend can say. So they chose the only mercy they had, which was silence. They noticed and they said nothing, and they have been protecting you from a truth every single day. The cost of this one is not money and not time. It is the space between you and the people you love. A small permanent distance built entirely out of their kindness. Let me stay here a moment longer because this is the real subject of everything I have told you. English is a rich language, and yet it does not have a gentle word for this. No soft, everyday term a mother could hand a grown child across the table. And where a language has no word, a people learns to look away. My language has blunt, ordinary words for the body and its maintenance, words with no shame stitched into them, and so these things get said plainly, at the dinner table by a grandmother without anyone being wounded. You were not failed by the people around you. You were failed by a vocabulary. They had no words that would not cut, so they used no words at all. And you mistook their silence for your success. Which brings me, gently, to the 7th, the last one, the one that lives closest to the people you love. It is your breath, the ordinary morning smell of a mouth that slept, and the reason you have never fixed it is that you have never been told it is there. You brush your teeth, and you believe teeth are the whole of the mouth, and they are not, because most of what a person smells lives on the tongue, on the soft back of it, in the coating that a toothbrush skates across and never removes. So clean your tongue deliberately every morning and every night. Scrape it gently and rinse, and understand that the person who wakes up beside you or the coworker who leans in to look at your screen has been absorbing this for years and has decided, out of love or out of politeness, that your comfort was worth more than their honesty. And here is where I lift all of it off of you, because you have been carrying it for the length of this video and you have carried it long enough. You were never careless. You were never dirty. You were never the kind of person who does not try. And everyone who stayed silent knew that, which is precisely why they stayed silent. You did every one of these things exactly the way you were taught, by a culture that keeps the body private and calls that respect. And no one ever handed you the single idea that would have reorganized all 7 at once, so you could not have known. And a thing you could not have known is not a thing you failed. It was never a flaw in you. It was a map you were never given. And now you have it, because remember what I told you at the beginning, the one sentence underneath all 7. The floor is your bed. Once you truly believe that the floor is your bed, that the towel touches clean skin only once, that water rinses but does not scrub, that the pillow holds the night and the tongue holds the day, then the shoes and the feet and the towel and the tay and the pillowcase and the scent you cannot smell and the mouth that slept are not 7 separate rules to memorize. They are one idea you already understand, walking through your house. So do the small version tonight, all of it, and it is genuinely small. Leave the shoes at the door, wash the ankles and the soles, change the towel and the pillowcase, drag the cloth down your arm and see the truth for yourself, and clean the tongue, not only the teeth. That is the entire method, and you can begin every piece of it before you sleep. Tell me one thing in the comments and be honest, because you are anonymous there in a way you are not at your own table. Which of the 7 do you now suspect that someone in your life already knew and never told you? That is the question I want you to sit with. And if any of this reordered something for you, stay with me, because next time I am going to tell you about the single object sitting in your bathroom right now that Koreans throw away within weeks, and that you have almost certainly kept for years. An object you would swear is helping you and is doing the opposite. And once you know which one it is, you will not be able to look at it the same way. There is nothing to buy here and nothing to fear. Only a different definition to try on. So subscribe if you want the rest, and go do the small things tonight, because you were never behind, my dear. You were only never told. And everything I have shown you is fixable before morning.